today, but I want to run some ideas past you because it's important. It's you writing the exam on the 19th. You want to be best prepared. My job is to facilitate and get you to that point. Having said that, to me, it's therefore very important that you guide me. I want you to tell me where you think we can actually spend more time. What I basically did is, because this is the first session, um, after we've had our feedback discussions on your assessments, and we had your prep for your exam, which again, in the final session before you enter into the study week, um, obviously we'll revisit that. But effectively, we've got this period, we've got the fourth period today, we've got 6 more periods, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week, to prepare and to basically, morning Theresa, welcome, to prepare you for your exam. I made an arrangement with the one of my second year groups. They had their last class yesterday, but they're only writing their subject on the 9th of November. So it's definitely, they've got 3 modules that they write before the 9th. So for them, it's just logical that they won't be focusing on this module if this is the 4th module that they're going to write, and only in 2 weeks' time. So I've arranged additional session for them to discuss any problems that they have as close as possible to the date of writing, because then they have gone through the work, they have certain specific questions. And with your consent, if would it be fine if we do something similar to this? Because we are now busy with revision for a module you're only writing on the 19th of November. Okay, that's almost a month away. So I would like you to guide me how you want us to use the 8 periods we've got left, because it's 6 next week and it's 2 today. What you think is best to how you would like it to be structured, and then obviously, if everybody's in agreement, I am more than welcome and prepared to do an additional session closer to your exam date, where maybe it's just check in and say, guys, or sir, I've got problems with this. Can you help me? Can you quickly explain this to me? But how do you feel about that? Would that work for everybody? Teresa, how do you feel? What would you like to? How would you like to use your revision preparation phase most effectively? Because I'm guided here by what you want. Is this a question again of everybody, or some of you have logged on to the session this morning, but you're still not awake? Thank you, Theresa. Yes, I thought that you might suggest that. It is probably the sensible thing to do, to say, right, let's go through all the work. I will, and in some sessions we might do 2 chapters, because this is a revision, people. This is just taking an existing chapter and just basically it's like a 3-minute highlights package of a 90-minute football game. Usually it just shows you the goals or the missed goals. So that's probably the approach that we will take for the next 8 sessions then. And then when we finish next week, just to last session, 4th period next Friday, just to remind everybody, and I will post an announcement. We're in agreement to have an extra session closer to the 19th, so you can just quickly recap and share your problems and address serious issues, and there's no time limit on that session. It's not an official class, so it's not a 40-minute session. It can be extended beyond that. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 50 minutes. So there's no time limit on that, but that is just sort of a final check-in session before you write. But we will decide as a group together what time and date is best for that. Right. So what I've then decided to do is in the first chapter, and I'm going back to all the work that you've done for your test. Okay. So work you've done for your test, you are probably not as familiar with. So again, I'll just browse through these chapters and highlight what I think is most important. I think when we go to chapter 2, and we'll probably do chapter 2 and 3 and 4. Chapter 3 is communication, might be a tough one, but we'll at least do chapter 2 and 3. Chapter 1 is just basically an introduction, and chapter 1 is exactly what it what an introduction is. It exposes you to what this the field of study is about. It says to you it's important that for you to be successful in sales, there are a couple of things that you have to remember. That everybody can sell. It's not you're not born a salesperson. You can be taught the skills required to be a successful salesperson, but then also like some sportsmen are born with natural skills, but they just don't use it to the best they can, and others are not blessed with natural skills or as much natural skills, but they work very hard, and therefore their result is probably better. It's a similar approach in any profession. You have people who have a natural gift to based on their characteristics, their personality, added with some special skills, would do better in certain professions than others. I read a very interesting thing this morning in the Bible when I was doing Bible study early, and it was actually it's a reminder again of don't be jealous of skills and specific characteristics that other people have. What are you doing with the ones that you got? Are you using the skills that you've been given to the best of your ability? We're all different. We all learn in different ways. We all learning at different speeds. We use different methods. But you know what? At the end of the day, we all get there. So it's finding your niche and what you have to do to get, in this specific case, because we're dealing with sales, to make your sales target. Right. In chapter 2, and we've revisited it, and it was evident in our discussions yesterday as well. Remember when you had had to do your script for Beauty Lynn? We said that you have to focus on the features, advantages, and benefits, and it's important that you distinguish between these three elements, because sometimes it can, especially between advantages and benefits, people are not always clear as to how or what the difference is between the two. The feature, and this is also in sales terms referred to as FAB, features, advantages, and benefits, and that's what you always be focusing on. To be successful in sales, you must know the features of the product that you are selling. You must be an expert on the features that your product has. You have to know them by heart. If it's a car, you must know everything. The reason why we say that is the customer nowadays, we've seen in later chapters, are better prepared than the customer 10, 15 years ago. They have access to more information. They have access to all the information that you have, and they come prepared. They've done their homework. My wife has always, for the 23 years that we've been together, has always bought her own car. Yes, she asked me if I think she was making the right decision. Yes, she wanted me to drive in a car as well, because you know how it goes in the family. Sometimes The boys need to go for cricket, and then we use the SUV, and then and we swap cars. I've got to be familiar with the vehicle as well, and I would like to. I need to fit in the vehicle and be able to enjoy driving it as well. And yes, we were blessed because there were two cars. Both me and my wife have a car, and which is sometimes not the case in some families, in many families for that matter. And then you have to juggle. But coming back to the features of that vehicle, I know that she was extremely thorough every single time before buying a vehicle. She knew everything. She bought the Wheels magazine, the Car magazine, website searches. So when she walks into a showroom and a consultant says, "Hi, mom, can I help you?" You know what? You basically have to strap yourself in because she's going to give you an information overload and you're going to say, "Oh my goodness." Maybe, like it has often happened, especially in certain industries, okay, there is a bit of a gender issue. What does a woman know about cars, kind of thing, right? And that's usually where some unethical and aggressive sales techniques are used by some salespeople. You know what? Not the case anymore nowadays. Regardless if it's a male or female buying a car, if they're single or married, they come prepared, and you therefore have to know what the benefits, excuse me, what the features of your product is. The advantages, that particular benefit, the feature, what advantage is that going to give you? If we talk about this specific example, my apologies, I'm much better than yesterday, but I'm not 100% yet over my cough yet. If a vehicle, if one of the features of a vehicle is the ABS brakes or braking system, the advantage is that it will actually allow you to stop within 5 meters. What's the benefit? The benefit for you is I'll be much safer in my vehicle. Me and whoever's traveling with me as passengers will be much safer. And we have to ensure that you distinguish between these three things. It is very important. Right. Um, let's advance through the chapter. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've been exposed to this before when you did marketing. Basically, Maslow says the customer will satisfy the needs from the bottom up. Those things that's important for their survival, like food and drink and sleep and everything, they will try and satisfy first before they jump to the next level. And when you're buying a vehicle, for instance, you're probably looking at um, anything between your third level, love and belonging, and esteem, where it's about maybe um, you want to be accepted in a particular community or circle of friends, your reference groups, and therefore you're purchasing a certain vehicle. Okay, and that's usually closer to the esteem component because um, it makes you feel good about yourself because you're getting compliments from people that you look up to as your peers. And I've used this to continue with the example that we started with in our discussion today on vehicles when we did the fab. Right, let's advance and see what else waits for us in this chapter. Right, the chapter specifically deals about the customer and the buying process. So important for us is also to look at those factors, social and cultural factors, that impact on how we make our decisions. Again, a lot of this you have been exposed to for the maybe the first time earlier this year in the first semester marketing module. But in essence, those components are ones that um, impact on how decisions are taken and how customers are motivated to make decisions because of these factors impacting or influencing those decisions that they take. Obviously, depending on the on the seriousness and the amount that you're going to spend, the influences of these factors would vary. Buying a bread is not necessarily at the end of the day a extremely expensive exercise. Therefore, the influences of any of these factors that we have on the screen is not going to be that great for a day-to-day purchasing decision. But if it's a house or a car or a computer, something that is a durable product that you'll need to use and have for at least 5, 6, 7, 10 years, you tend to take longer to make that decision, and you tend to take more than just one of the factors that we have on the screen into consideration. Right. How does family play a role? Family plays a role because what's the range of the ages of you guys? Tarquin, Riso, Otlatsu, 18, I'm guessing 18 to 22. Who's younger than 22? Who's older than Tarquin? 21, 22. Right. What are your daily needs? Range is 19 to 22. Thanks, Arisha. The range of ages where you find yourself in your life cycle at the moment. What do you need every day that will make you happy? Okay. Anything. What do you need to survive? What do you need every day? Coffee, yes, and good stuff early in the morning. What's the best thing about having a good cup of coffee in the morning? Having another good cup of coffee in the morning. Food, yes. Food is the fuel. Fuel and food, always. Okay, food is equally expensive. Because petrol, I believe they say, is going to be 20 Rand a litre by December. 20 Rand a litre, people. Wow. I tell you what, I'm going to stock up on Coca-Cola, because a 2-litre Coke is definitely not 20 Rand yet. And if my car can drive on Coke, oh, geez. Imagine if a manufacturer come up with something that oh no, I tell you what, it's expensive. But yes, your cycle in life, where you are at the moment, you're looking at satisfying primarily your own needs, and they are usually physiological at the moment. If I tell you now, what do you need today? You're going to say, you know what? I need food. I need something to drink. You can be more specific. Maybe it's water, it's milk, it's coffee, it's tea, whatever. Maybe reliable internet access, sufficient data, maybe a good night's sleep. Those are all things, people, that's important for you at this stage, because you only have to have that to actually get through today. You don't have dependence. Well, most of us find ourselves in a position where we are only responsible for ourselves. In some households, however, the roles are different. Maybe you are responsible for other siblings in the house. Maybe you are responsible for contributing towards the household income. That's why taking part-time jobs. That's why helping out with some fulfilling some of the functions. Maybe because there's a single mother, single father, single parent households scenario. Maybe you've lost a family member and you have to now step in temporarily to fulfill that role. Regardless of but you find yourself usually at the ages 19 to 22 in a scenario where you are basically just looking out for yourself. And when it comes to selling to people in your age group, people are not salespeople who are going to try and sell you the latest Toyota Cross or VW GTI Golf, are not necessarily going to target you at the moment. They might target you in 2 or 3 years' time when you actually are employed already, earning an income, and you have more money to spend, and your needs have changed. Okay, so basically, the impact of family on the decision-making process relates to where you find yourself in your life cycle, as well as your role that you play in a particular family or domestic environment. Right, what's the next factor? The next factor is your social class. Social class in South Africa, unfortunately, we put a lot of emphasis on your income, and we very often our social classes are structured according um, to our income. To a certain extent, you can use that. A combination of your occupation, your education levels, as well as your income. That is probably a closer, a more accurate way of determining what your spending power is, because that's what salespeople are after. They want to know that the customers that they're targeting. Remember, when you're doing your prospecting, that you want to qualify the prospect. In other words, are they in a position of authority to make the decision? Are they in a position to afford the product? Do they have a need for the product? Okay. And we know that social class, we sort of flock together, people with similar lifestyles and interests, and find themselves on the same social class. There's always that motivation to move to a next class level, social class level. And sometimes we make irrational decisions as consumers where we buy products that we think is going to, in the opinion of others, um, give us a boost in our social class. But when you get back home, you can't really afford your car and they have to repossess it 6 months later. It's not such a nice experience. Social class is very important because it's real. What you do, what you earn, what your educational level is directly impact on the decisions that you take. The demographics, where we live, ages, our genders, the population groups that we are part of, our marital status, our nationality. These are all factors, people, that impact on how we make our decisions and what we have available to spend. For a salesperson, it's important to know the following about the customer: how populations what the population makeup is and how it is changing. Are people locating closer to rural areas? Are rural areas becoming very densely populated, and we find a reverse decentralization that's happening? Um, how do we sell? And we do sell differently to people in rural areas than we do um, in urban areas. Um, how are people spending their money? What products and services are they spending their money on? Um, how do they choose their friends? What's important for them when they choose their friends? These are all factors, people, that you as a salesperson should have some knowledge of. And we know that this is information that can be obtained. Statistics South Africa is one of those resources, but this is in your planning before you're making your sales call, before you actually picking up the phone to maybe qualify a prospect. These are the kind of things that you want to know about your customers and will help you. Lifestyle has become an extremely important um, factor, which can very accurately determine what customers have available to spend and how they spend it. Okay, if you like the outdoors, the chances that you'll be spending money on mountain bikes and camping gear and stuff like that is very high. So, how people spend their free time, how they live, is very important, and actually one of the most important factors to be considered by salespeople. Your own personality. Your own personality is going to determine how you see yourself. Is very important. The self-concept. How do you see yourself? How do you think other people see you? We always are in, and that's why where social media has become so important, because um, yeah, I think a trap that a lot of consumers fall in nowadays is that you have a social media personality, and then you have your normal personality. It's a you are two different people. When you're on social media, you're trying to live up to the who are in your um, in your social groups, which is easy to manipulate for a salesperson, and that's the trap that as consumers sometimes fall into, because they make unrealistic, or they make unnecessary transactions, or engage in unnecessary transactions. They buy stuff that they don't really need because they think that might, um, as a result of that purchase, they might fit into a particular um, peer group that they want to fit into. People, when it comes to personality, there's one thing about personality that we can't wish away. All of us want recognition, regardless how we all want to feel that we belong somewhere. We all want to feel, and I think that's probably one of the, if we look back at Maslow's five levels, your physiological level, those things that you need just to survive, security and safety, and then love and belonging. Almost when you got to that level, the rest you're not interested in. Because if you are content with yourself, if you know yourself, if you are happy with what you have, you know what? Most people would say, I'm okay with that. Because on that level, it comes with that level of fitting in somewhere. That's all that we want to do. That's why we change our groups of friends, because we are not 100% comfortable with maybe all the values of the group that we're currently in. It's not really, we have to be somebody other than ourselves. We can't be our own self if we're in that group. We're always pretending. Then you're in the wrong group, and then you continue to change groups until you find a group that you fit in, and where everybody um, feel exactly the same and can just be themselves. Very important. But again, it's something because of that unsurety, and the fact that we um, are searching the whole time to fit in to a particular into a particular group. When we're in that transition between groups, and we're trying to fit into groups, and we're trying to find exactly where we actually belong, that salespeople are sometimes targeting very vulnerable consumers, because they then do very, very silly purchases. Right. Let's also look at culture. The culture that we are born into play a very important role, and definitely influence a great deal on how we make our decisions and what we purchase, because your culture represents basically your values and beliefs and norms and practices. Um, and the stronger these values are, the more um, the, the the easiest it is for a salesperson to target a specific cultural group as a target market, because um, it's fairly easy to predict how that particular culture or members of that particular culture is going to react, because of the impact of culture on your decision being so strong, guiding you morally, basically. It's important, and and salespeople know that that weighs very heavily um, in the books of many consumers, and they will make decisions that fit into what their culture expect them to buy and to use, for instance. Right. Let me see if there's anything else in chapter 2 that I think is of extreme importance that I just want to bring to your attention. Um, I'm going through one of my other going through screen on my other monitor. Um, There are the one on the screen is rather important. Yes, situational influences, our physical surroundings, where we grow up. If you that sort of shapes your personality to a certain extent as well. Um, the time that you have available, the time that you have to shop, the time that you are prepared to spend on shopping every day, the time that you have to spend on shopping every day. Some people don't shop on a daily basis; they shop on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. They limit because their time is limited during a particular month or a week or a day, and therefore they don't plan their shopping trips around or their day around these trips. um, People working two jobs, people working early in the morning in traffic from 5 in the morning, getting home at 6 o'clock at night. They're going to do their shopping mostly over weekends. They're going to do the shopping maybe online. They're going to do their shopping in a very short time because they have a plan. They've got a list. This is what they're buying. They want to get in and out because their time is limited. Um, yeah, I think that is pretty much, I think, what, in my opinion, and bearing in mind what you might find in your exam paper, is important in chapter 2. Anybody, any questions at this stage? I'm going to let you go with the following important quote that you always have to remember as somebody in sales, because later on, when we get to the final step in the selling cycle, remember that's something that and that's the other reason why I didn't do chapter 1 today, because part of chapter 1 is also going through the 10 steps of the selling cycle again. And we did that with your assignment. We did it with the feedback yesterday. We did it with feedback with your test as well. But it was very clear that following up a customer, because your main objective as a salesperson is to make a sale, and do that by identifying as accurately as possible the needs of the customer, offering that customer a product and service that will satisfy that need. In other words, you're helping them solve a problem, doing it in such a manner that they want to return and buy from you again. And if they repeat that for a number of years, they become loyal customers, loyal to the brand, loyal to the product, and sometimes even loyal to the salesperson. So that's why we end up with this particular quote that we have on the screen, which is absolutely true. If you don't take care of your customers, your competitors will. They're just waiting for that customer who's not being treated the way customers expect nowadays to be treated, the way that customers should be treated. Remember, I said to you on previous occasion, the reason why we offer our customers good service is not because we want them to return. That's the outcome of offering good service. The reason why we offer our customers good service is because it's the right thing to do. And because it's the right thing to do, the spin-off, the benefit of that is that they will come back and you will therefore retain your customer. That's the outcome. That's the reward for offering good customer service. Take care of your customers or your competitors will. Anybody? We've done the first the first period on a Friday. For those who are still awake, for those who have just woken up, although they've been in the session for 45 minutes already, welcome to Friday. It's very close to the weekend. You just have to hang in there for a couple more periods and you will be fine. I know that everybody's under a lot of stress. Everybody is experiencing a lot of fatigue, and therefore take care of yourselves. We'll chat again in the fourth period, 20 past 10, and then we will do chapter 3, 3 different sections in chapter 3. If you want to, and if you have time to just quickly browse through it, it's on communication. Remember, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and written communication. Right. That's me for the day, or for the first period. Anybody, any questions? You all good? All still awake? Thanks, Larissa. Good luck with all the other periods that you have today. You have often next period because, or is somebody else standing in for Ms. van Schoor? Good. Use the time effectively. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll see you 10:20, fourth period. Thanks, everyone.